Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So I had a great question in the comments asking, have you ever thought globally how the US economy is declining in Western states or Western countries? Like there's higher crime, there's increasing costs of healthcare, increasing cost of living, increasing homelessness, increasing crime. Um, Wages aren't keeping up. So like there's a decline in the Western areas. And to be honest, I've never really thought much about that. For me, I'm just so focused on buying real estate and finding ways to build wealth. I think that despite all the negatives of the U.S., there's a lot of positives. There's a reason why people are immigrating here, and because it's the land of opportunity, and you could come from like nothing and build up a net worth. Like my whole family immigrated from Vietnam. They came from the rags to riches story, and I'm basically the next generation. And thanks to being here, having a job as a pharmacist, and thanks to 10% down loans in the U.S., which is unheard of anywhere else, I was able to scale a real estate portfolio while working full time, and now built up a $6.2 million net worth, and I own 52 units of real estate. So by the age of 34, so I don't know where else that's possible. I'm sure there are areas out there, but I never really thought that hard. For me, I don't like to overcomplicate things and look at things too um, that globally. To be honest, like for me, I just want to know the individual market. Like obviously, I'm not gonna buy a piece of real estate in a high crime area. I made that mistake already with my mobile home park that I bought in Selma, Alabama. It was super high crime. Sold it for a loss. Lost $100,000. I got burned. But anytime I bought real estate in a great area, like in the Bay Area, in Orange County, where I'm at right now, if you buy in areas where it's good schools, good location, a lot of jobs around. Like in the Bay Area, there's so many jobs around despite the tech layoffs. But it's a lot of jobs there, and where there's jobs, people will go, and where people go, there's rental demand and job growth, rental demand, rental growth over time. So there's always a tenant base that always needs to be there, right? People are always moving to the Bay Area because there's tech jobs there. That's where you want to work if you're in tech. In Los Angeles, where I live in Orange County, the weather's amazing and there's a lot of things to do here, right? So I feel like if you take the fundamentals of location, 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 it's great. I mean, yeah, maybe the western states are declining, but like I said, where I'm purchasing, I don't really see that because, like I said, people visit Los Angeles, people visit the Bay Area, people visit San Francisco. I guess I could argue that San Francisco and Los Angeles are declining, but if you live in the outskirt areas, there's a lot of nice pockets there where you could buy real estate and it'll appreciate over time, and there's none of those issues, right? So you just got to find the pockets and know where to invest, right? Like if you were to invest in an area like Mississippi, which has declining population growth, like to me, I would stay away, right? Because it's maybe it's high crime, maybe there's no jobs there, there's no opportunity, all the young people are moving out of there, right? Versus if you buy real estate in a place where people are migrating towards, for the most part, you can't go wrong. And like, don't get me wrong, if like in 30, 40 years of the U.S. goes to complete shit and the real estate crashes or the economy dies, then I think other countries will be more affected because I feel like the U.S. is a pretty strong economy, which affects other countries, right? So like it's all kind of interconnected. So, but if you look at where all the money is made, it's mostly in the U.S. Um, so I think for me, that's why most of my stock portfolio, to be honest, is in the S&P 500 or the total U.S. index stock market because I think overall the U.S. is trending up despite all these like metrics. And yeah, I think the U.S. is heading towards a renter's market, especially in like in more expensive areas like where I live, Los Angeles, Bay Area, New York. It's actually more affordable to be a renter, to be honest, versus to like own a home. Um, and versus like if you were to like live in Oklahoma, you can rent a one bedroom apartment for like $500 a month, which is like pretty affordable, right? It's pretty affordable versus and if you were to own a home, maybe you're paying $1,500 in Los Angeles where I live. My mortgage on my house is the total all in cost is seven $7,500 a month, and I can rent a equivalent probably townhome, maybe not as new, but equivalent townhome for maybe like $4,000, right? So it's like almost half the cost. So it's actually more affordable to like literally just rent and invest the difference versus owning a home, right? That's why I'm like very focused on paying off my home. And what I want to do is like, yeah, maybe my real estate's at an all-time high. So if I sold my real estate, took my proceeds, paid off my house, I'm sitting comfortable, right? That's why I'm very big on like increasing your income while minimizing your expense. Because if something happens, like if the U.S. economy tanked or U.S. real estate didn't do well anymore, I own this house free and clear. Like, what's gonna happen to me, right? Like, can I afford $2,000 a month? Probably. So there's ways to like mitigate that if you do think that far ahead. But the message I want to hit is don't get so in the weeds and paralyzed by this like global thing that you can't control, that it prevents you from buying real estate. Because I've seen people do this on the sideline since 2017, right? Like, oh, I want to buy. There's a crash coming. Don't buy. There's a crash coming in 18. Don't buy. There's a crash coming in 19. Don't buy. Oh, 2020. There's a crash coming. Don't buy. Oh, 2021. Interest are too low. It's too competitive. Don't buy. 2022. It's going to crash. 2020. I've heard this all the time, right? Even 2024. It's interest rates are terribly high now, so um, it's making it unattractive for people who want to sell multifamily because interest rates are higher, cap rates go up, values are going down. Like people want to sell their apartment for $2 million, now it's worth $1 million because interest rates doubled, and maybe cap rates went up, right? And same with single family homes. Like it's hard to buy single family homes at cash flow today. Maybe if I bought it at a 4% interest rate, it would cash flow. But if I'm buying it at like an 8% interest rate, it's not going to cash flow unless you do like short term rental. Like it's not going to cash flow as a long term rental. So you have to do like a larger down payment if you kind of want to buy cash flowing real estate. So, um, it is a harder time to buy, which is why, like I said, I think the U.S. is heading towards like a renter's economy or a renter's market. Just kind of like look at Europe, like people who own real estate in Europe, they just owned it for generations, and the descendants they just kind of live in the houses that their ancestors bought, or the other ones are just like renting. So I feel like we're heading that way, unfortunately, in the U.S. Like it's especially where I live in California. You either want to be really rich or really poor, right? Because if you're really poor, you get all the benefits. You get all the free healthcare, scholarships to college. If you're really rich, well, you're just really rich. Versus like the people in the middle class kind of get screwed, right? Because like you don't get the benefits of like being the poor, but you're not rich enough to like have the fu money. So that's why I'm like trying to scale to be that like I'm probably already am top 5% to be that 1% where I'm not affected and I can live where I want, right? And that's why a lot of people who are like middle class are moving out of California is because like your dollar can go a lot further in Vegas, your dollar can go a lot further in Arizona, your dollar can go a lot further in Utah, right? So if you are okay with the weather not being as great and not as much diversity in food, then and not as many things to do, then by all means you can move to a different state where your dollar goes a lot further, and that might be okay, right? Like maybe I might do that one day. I don't know. I do like living in Los Angeles, which is why I just want to like pay off this house and then not worry about it. Just pay property tax, interest, HOA, call it a day, right? It'd be like $2,000 a month, which is the cost of rent. Um, or I might change my mind completely and get a bigger house in like I don't know Vegas or Arizona or whatever, right? But as I am right now, that's where I kind of want to be. So that answer's kind of I know I kind of rambled there, but I don't really think that large scale, and but I do monitor for trends, right? So like I do see how real estate's trending value wise, and so far it's been always going up. Despite interest rates skyrocketing to 8%, I feel like it's still going up, not as fast, but it's still going up. And the moment interest rates drop again, well, the values are gonna skyrocket again. For apartments and multifamily, yeah, rents have a little bit stagnated a little bit, gone a little bit down. So as a result, your NOI is going down and your values are going down, and cap rates are going up, which is a double whammy, right? So rents are trending downwards, expenses are going up, your cap rates are going up, so your values are going down. That's why when you make offers on multifamily now, it's kind of almost offensive to the seller because like that's just how the numbers are, right? Numbers are just numbers, right? Like I hate to, but they have a sales price they have in mind, but it may not be that given cap rates are higher, rents are the same or lower, expenses are higher, your NOI is lower. So your NOI is lower, your cap rates are higher, your values can go down, right? And the second part of this question is, have I ever considered investing in like international real estate? And the answer is no. Like for me, that's just shiny object syndrome. Like I already have unfair advantage buying real estate in California, buying real estate in Alabama, buying apartments in Oklahoma. Like I just can focus on that and make more than enough wealth that I know what to do with already, right? So like, there's no point in me shining objects in here buying real estate and like, because I thought about buying in Japan, I thought about buying in Bangkok, Thailand, buying in Malaysia, but like these properties, like I think they just don't really appreciate well because they're just building skyscrapers like right next to each other, right? So I don't think the values really go down. Like in Japan, in some areas, I think they just give you homes for free because they depreciated. They're like worth less, right? They're depreciating assets. So like to me, I'm like I did think it'd be cool to be like, oh, I could like own a condo in a luxury high rise in Bangkok, Thailand for like under $100,000, but it's probably a depreciating asset. Like versus I just can rent it for like $400 a month, which is like dirt cheap. Right? I can rent it for like 400, $500 a month, which is dirt cheap. I don't have to deal with any management of it. I don't know what the laws are there and how it's gonna be affected. Like it's just too complicated. If I want to just be in Thailand for like a 2 3 months, I'll just rent a condo for 2 3 months for 400 $500 a month. That's nothing, right? And compared to California. Um, so that's why I never really thought about it. But hey, if you have an unfair advantage in another country and maybe you live in California part time and then you live there the other part time, by all means, you could like buy some international real estate. But like you said, I think for me, only the U.S. you can buy a primary residence with like 3.5% down, 5% down. Like I think in Asia, to be honest, like even to rent, you have to have like a year of like or 6 to 12 months of rental income just in your bank account before they even lend it to you, right? Only in America where it's like, oh, you just put $200 security deposit and then you move right in, right? In Asia, like in Korea or Taiwan, like if your rent's $2,000 a month, and in a year it's 24K. They want 24K in your bank account so that they know you're covered for rent, right? That's why Asians hoard money, right? Versus in the U.S. it's all credit, right? Everything's on a credit card now, and that's why a lot of people are in credit card debt. So like to me, like where else could you leverage that way, right? Where you can buy property. Like I bought my primary residence 5% down, right? I bought all my single family homes 10% down. I bought multifamily real estate with that. So like to me, I just think that I think I can make more than enough wealth, just buying real estate in California, Oklahoma, Alabama, just those three areas is enough for me to build enough wealth. I don't need to go internationally. If I wanted some exposure to international, I do own a total international index fund, so there's some diversification there. But I could buy it maybe international REIT, right? I don't know if one exists, but if one exists on Vanguard and I want some exposure, I can consider buying that, right? But to me, I don't, I own like I'm a little biased, but I own international index fund and a U.S. index fund. The U.S. index fund is like killing it compared to the international. All right, so to me, that's like, well, that shows me that the U.S. economy is very strong compared to international economies. So why do I want to invest in real estate in an economy where it's not as strong as the U.S., right? Even if the U.S. is declining, right? But if the U.S. declines, in my mind, other countries are declining with it, right? So it's kind of all relative at that point. Anyways, hopefully this answers your question. I know I went a huge rant here. Hopefully you got value from this video. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want to learn how to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check the mentorship program down below. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.